Greetings and welcome to From the Basement. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the interface for Articy Draft. Keep in mind, if you are using a multi-user edition, you will need to have the partition checked out to do any changes that might modify that partition. The Articy interface can be broken down into three main components: windows, panes, and tabs. A window is pretty much what you would expect. It's, well, a window. It's what you get when you open up the project. If you want to create additional windows, you can click on the Create New Window button. This is primarily useful if you have two monitors or more, and you can drag these additional windows off to the other monitor. To close the window, you just simply click on the X. Panes are the next division. When you put your mouse cursor on the edge of the current pane, you will see two little arrows appear. Clicking and dragging with the left mouse button will create a new pane. There are no limits to the number of panes that you can create. Generally speaking, you got to continue to drag the panes in the same direction. If I was to try to take this and move it to the left, I wouldn't get a new pane, because this particular one I drug to the right. It's going to interpret left as me wanting to close the pane out. You do not have to close subpanes in order to close out a particular section. The next division is tabs. Clicking on the plus sign will create a new tab. Notice how these two panes have different tab lists. So on this one I have two tabs, and on this one I have one tab. Tabs can obviously look at different things at the same time. So I can have one tab with locations, one tab with entities, and one tab with flow. To close a tab, you simply select the tab and click on the X. Notice you cannot close out the last tab. Every pane must have a tab. Creating things is usually easiest by right-clicking. You can either right-click on the hierarchy view, or you can right-click on the edit area. You can also, in the flow section, drag elements down. Generally speaking, you will want to use right-click, because if you have templates set up, you can automatically apply those templates when you create by using right-click. To navigate through the work pane areas, press and hold the right mouse button and drag. The mouse wheel will zoom you out and in. There is, of course, limits as to how far you can zoom. As you can see, the available workspace in Articy is very massive. You will never need, or at least you shouldn't need, to use that full area. If you actually are using the full area, you might want to take a look and see if there is a way you can simplify what you are representing. In the case of flows, see if you can submerge some flows into other flows. And in the case of entities or locations, see maybe if you can't subdivide them up a little bit better. Creating new entities works slightly different. You need to click on this button instead of dragging it on. So dragging is not working. Right-click still works. And here we can see the application of templates. All Articy projects come with two templates, main character and supporting character. By using right-click and selecting one of these templates, I can automatically apply the template to that entity. This applies to everything that you can create in Articy Draft. Locations, documents, journeys, template design, assets all operate the same way. A right-click can be used to create something, and it can also be used, and they will also always have buttons that can also be used to create the items. Folders can also be created via the right-click menu, or by clicking on a button. Modifying the properties can be done in several different ways. You can right-click and go to Open Properties. You can also use the F8 keyboard shortcut. You can also come over here and click on the Properties tab. You have additional views here as well that will vary depending on which of the modes you are in. Deleting things is fairly simple. I can click on an object and press delete. Be careful when clicking on an object that you don't click on an editable area. For example, on this flow fragment, if I click inside this box down here, Articy will assume that I want to edit the text, and pressing delete will not allow me to remove it. I have to be careful that I click on an area that's not going to take me into edit mode before pressing delete. I can also select items from the hierarchy and press delete. You can also right-click and say delete. That concludes the interface overview. There's a few more subtle details, but we'll get to those as we deal with the various elements in Articy Draft. Until next time.